How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Loose Cannons podcast. It's international break, game week 11 now out of the way. So it's a good time to sit back, relax, and have a look at what the table's looking like. After the first weekend where James just reminded us, didn't need to remind us that it's the first Loose Cannons pod where things haven't gone Arsenal's way, not only in our game, but in games across the board too, the way I look at it. But we're here, people, to talk. It's a very special episode, not just because it's international break. It's the first one since we've returned as the Loose Cannons. Big up Jordan, big up James. But it's also the first show where we're trying something a bit different. I'm so glad that in the first episode I saw in the comment section that, you know, an opposition fan view would be appreciated on the show from time to time. And I was even happier to see two names pop up that we actually discussed before we launched the Loose Cannons, one of which being right here, bottom left. We've got Culture Cams in the building. What are you saying,
Come
Cam?
on. All good, man. All good. Buzzing to be on the show, man. I'm a enjoyer from afar. You know what I mean? I like watching the pod. All you guys do a great job, and I feel like all of you lot are calm, talk the game properly. Do you know what I mean? And don't get overexcited, don't get too low as well. So I feel like it'll be a good discussion, man, honestly.
Can I just say, best content creator from United, the United stable out there. Like Flex is my guy. Me and Flex go back and forth. I love Flex, but Cams is you're the guy. I'm not hearing no one else on the United beat. I'm not. When I want to hear United, when I want to hear United chat, I'm coming to you, brother. I'm hearing your takes. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it. Thank
no
you,
nonsense,
man.
no hyperbole, with a little bit of vibes in there as well. You're the guy. So on the show,
thank you, guys.
Great get.
Didn't you tell Saeed that last week?
Didn't
you tell Saeed the same thing last week?
No. So I said big up. I said big up, Saeed. But in terms of like talking the ting, come on, man. We got. This is a. We're Sunderland, and we've just signed SAKA. No, it's a loan.
Yeah.
What's a good loan this season so far? Who's doing well on loan this season so far?
Loaney. Oh, he's on loan this season. I don't even know what loans are going on at the moment.
Yeah. I love the thing. You're that guy. You're the guy.
You have built. Listen, we've been working together for years now, since stoppage time was first a thing on 360 and the Big Six show early days. From one day at a time, one game at a time. But you've built somewhat of a reputation for yourself where you're a Man United fan, but you offer quite an unbiased perspective of things you see in front of you. Is that because of the situation United are in, or is it because that's who you are?
You know what? Honestly, bro, that's just always how I've been, you know. Like, obviously, you know, when you're younger, you're more tribal and stuff like that. You're giving it to your boys, blah, blah, blah. You're in title races with your boys' club. And so, yeah, sometimes when you're out of it a little bit, you can see the bigger picture. Do you know what I mean? You can see what it takes to be a top team. You can see what teams are doing to have got to that level. So sometimes when you're like a Man United fan and you've seen it all, you sometimes think to yourself, you can't kind of like, what's the word? You can't kind of be too tribal because it just doesn't make sense. You look, for me, sometimes just look stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not on here to look stupid and just say Man United are the best at everything and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know, maybe because I'm getting older as well, but like, I don't feel like you know, when I was growing up, all the players are older than me, bro. All the players are older than me. They were kind of like superheroes to me. And then you're just saying whatever. But now, bro, most of these players are younger than me, bro. I can't be on the internet slandering the hell out of Ethan Wyneri, bro. He's a kid, bro. I can't be on the internet doing that, honestly. Like, these guys are younger than me now, so I kind of just come at a different perspective. Like, I'm not somebody's dad or anything, but you know when they say you have children, you kind of like mature, you know, things kind of change in your life. I look at these guys now, like they're younger than me, bro. If I see them in real life, I'll say, keep doing your thing, you're inspirational to the young, but then I'll be on the internet saying, my man is better, your man. Like, come on, I can't. It's just not me in it. It's just not really me. And I always say to people, if you're looking for that, bro, I can point you to 10, 20 channels, bro. You don't need to come to me for that, you know? It's what it is, man.
What are you saying? Yeah, name change, Uncle Culture coming soon.
Come on.
Bro, Soon, man.
Uncle
Soon.
Culture.
Soon.
That's a decent name.
Uncle Culture.
Come on.
Oh man.
But listen, big up Cam's. His channel link is in the description. It's not only that channel that he does content on, he's always doing content with Liaz as well. Quality content at that FCM as well with Fuad and Maze and brothers from long time now across the board in terms of Big Six. And now Loose Cannons, our first special guest from an opposition perspective. So yeah, it's tied into one where Arsenal didn't get what we wanted out of the weekend. Having drawn 2-2 away at Sunderland, being pegged back, in the last few minutes after fighting back to take the lead. One of us predicted a draw here. I think it was James that said 1-1. No, or was it Jordan?
No,
I was leaning towards the 2-1. I didn't think it'd be easy, but I've been saying that for weeks and I've been wrong. So,
I mean, it ended 2-2, and then
I
City. You went 3-2, and then City went and smoked Liverpool. We're going to talk about that too, but off the back of the Sunderland stuff. Let's just get straight into it. How do we all see it? I mean, did injuries catch up to us? Was it a case of Sunderland were just that good? They deserved their point, even though throughout the game it looked like we'd done enough to get the 3 points. It was a weird one because even today I'm looking back at it feeling the same. Sunderland deserved to get a point out of it. But at the same time, I look at some of the chances we created in the second half and wonder how we didn't win the game. James, let's start with you. Our first drop points for a little while, our first goals conceded for a little while. 2 in 1 game for the first time this season. But do we start on us or do we start by giving credit to Sunderland for the performance?
Yeah, that's a good question. First and foremost, I actually don't think there could have been a better first podcast for a rival guest, but in particular Cam's to come in on, because this is the kind of pod where it's going to challenge our faith in the team. Everything we've been saying, teams can't even get a shot. We're putting title-winning momentum together. Okay, now that's being tested. So I'm really interested to hear what Cam has to say about it all as well. Do you know what? I'm feeling quite positive and optimistic. And I won't really go into detail about that yet. Just on the game in particular. Sunderland, full credit to them. I thought they were really energetic. I thought they were really... I used the word aggressive in a complimentary way. They were. They got stuck into us. They made it awkward for us. And Arsenal had to sort of overcome a lot of that, the noise, the crowd, the physicality. They go 1-0 down. I don't think it's a yellow card nor a free kick, if I'm honest, with Zubimendi on. I think it's Isidore, but whatever, that can happen. It's in their own half. We should defend it better. I don't think Declan Rice does well on the goal. The second half, we came to life. We played brilliantly in the second half, if I'm honest. And I know the narrative is Sunderland deserved a draw, and I'm okay with that. I thought they were really spirited. They played well. I also think if we'd nicked a third at 2-1, people would have gone, yeah, that's probably right as well. Arsenal were really good in that second half. So I think it's just one of those where it happens in football. I mean, I think the title of my match reaction was, it happens, we move. And that's kind of how I felt about it. Look, the first half wasn't great, but you mentioned injuries catching up to us. And there's a real reason why I wanted to talk about them when we were winning, not just now we've dropped points. Oh, let's roll out the list of injuries. It's not really that sustainable to keep, chucking Marino up front, to not have Kai and Jesus to come in, to not have Madueke when Saka's tiring or Martinelli, and expecting, and it's little things like having Marino up front means you're not bringing him on to see it out when Declan Rice is tiring and things like that. Look, we've got a great squad, and, Sunderland fans will not sort of see the excuses in that. That's completely fair enough. I just think 10 wins and a draw in our last 11, I can kind of forgive the team. I think they look tired. But it is disappointing. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't absolutely gut-wrenching when it goes in the 94th minute. You think you've worked hard to overcome a big hurdle and you haven't. So I feel okay. I feel pretty positive about it. It's just a shame. But it's one of those where I can understand the draw and we kind of keep it moving for me.
Yeah, the game took me to the stage anyway where I started thinking about City, Liverpool being 10 points and 9 points ahead of them, seeing who potentially gets buried this weekend. And I said it boldly on Thursday. I said, if we win our game, then someone's eliminated, buried from this race. And, unless someone lets them back in it, that's the way it's going to be. But yeah, it wasn't to be, Jordan.
The context hurts. Right, with the opportunity of those two playing, the fact there was an international break, the fact that we were 1-0 down and turned it around to 2-1. You know, the fact that there was kind of this opportunity to do it before the injuries came out. There's like a lot of things that now we've got to sit on it for 2 weeks. Now we know City have closed the gap. You know, it's those, now we know we've got a difficult run coming. So all the context kind of adds to the hurt of it. If this had happened 2 weeks ago, I think we'd kind of almost just go, all right, we're on to the next, here we go. But
yeah, Jordan, what about your thoughts on it? It's just drop points, goals conceded, about 4 points ahead at this moment in time, international break. I mean, it's very different circumstances to last international break. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly where we were situated. It was either obviously second or first by that stage, wasn't it? After the Newcastle win,
I think we were second still by that
second
point. I think.
So if we look at it international break to international break, I mean, we're happy. If we look at it, you know, from Friday to Monday, it's a bit like, oh, it's a little chance missed there. How are you feeling about it?
Well, I think it was an interesting game actually, and after kind of Cam gives his kind of general thoughts, we can kind of get into the game, and there's certain key things I think we should discuss. Interesting game, interesting weekend, and I'm very much where James is actually, but that wasn't the case Saturday night. So I've actually this is why I love doing this podcast, you know, a day or so after game sometimes, because you get to just kind of like, okay, really analyze what happened a little bit more and get out your feelings. I'm not very good. This is why I'm not good at fan cams, because I'm not really good at being emotional. Like I like to be analytical and try and think about things and and that's not great TV, right? People want to see people emotional. We're gonna win the league or sack the manager. That's fan cams are like that sort of extreme, right? And I'm not good at that. So I like having had a day later to kind of really sit on it. And I think for this podcast, the morning after the game, I would have been a bit more angry than I am right now. My view generally on it is, as James said, disappointed, but it happens. Like we were going to concede at some point. We said that on the pod. We're not going to have clean sheets forever. We were going to drop points at some point. Cool. I'm hearing this narrative going around over the weekend that, oh, if you want to win the league, you've got to beat teams like Sunderland, they're promoted sides. I mean, maybe, but Sunderland are good. They're a decent team and they're away. Had this happened at the Emirates, I might be less forgiving. But Sunderland are a good team in good form. We don't have any divine right to beat every single team just because we're top. Sunderland are a good team who played okay. Just one quick point on Sunderland. I love how Sunderland play to their strengths and just play to basics. They're not trying to play football. They're not trying to be something they're not. They're just saying, look, we're going to work hard. We're going to defend with 5 man, and we're going to try and get the ball as far forward as quickly as possible and just cause ruckus in the box. And we've got players that are going to hustle and try and get knockdowns. It didn't work in my team's favor on this occasion, but I like that they're not trying to be something they're not. I do like what they're doing right now, and I think that they're on to probably a good season. But just bringing it back to Arsenal, I'm disappointed because I really saw a chance, as we discussed on the weekend, to really hammer home a nice lead. And as you say, how we won our game, that then means the City-Liverpool game, which I think we should come to, you mentioned as well, that then becomes a double bonus because whoever wins that game, we win. If it's a draw, that's even better for us. So we had to handle our business first, and we didn't do that. So it's disappointing in that sense. The lead's been cut, sure, but I'm very much like, cool, we go again. There's no, I don't feel any shame or embarrassment about drawing away to Sunderland. All right, the way it happened, I'm disappointed we couldn't see it out for another 60 seconds, but that happens, man. We got one at Newcastle by being, it happened against us this time. That's football.
It's football, Cams. Let's get like Jordan said, let's get your thoughts overall on it before maybe getting into some of the details in the match goals wise, chance creation wise, moments wise. But yeah, our first drop points, Cams. Outside looking in, like Jordan said, just remain calm and on to the next one.
You know what it is? I think if you were to draw 2-2 to Sunderland and your competitors were even this Liverpool side at the moment, I think you would be like, okay, as you both said, it happens. But I think when Man City go and win on the weekend as well, and, you have the history of Man City maybe chasing you down twice or and you know who Man City are, who Pep Guardiola is. You see them starting to, in the last 3 games, in my opinion, actually put in top performances. You start to think to yourself, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a concern. I think it adds to the concern because of PTSD, right? That's really what it is. But I think overall, when you actually look at it and step back, you've won 10. Would you use it 10 wins? 10. You went.
Yeah.
If you look at your green, then all of a sudden you have a draw, right? As they said, this happens in football. Sunderland are basically doing what Forest did last season. If you went to Forest last season and walked away from the City ground with a point, hey, good result, right? Good result. That's how it feels, and that's what it is with Sunderland. People can say promoted teams, but honestly, I always say, right, predictions are the worst thing in football. Like, oh, I think this team are going to win, or I think this. I hate doing prediction videos. I always say leave predictions for gamblers, bro. That's really what you should leave it for, because saying, oh, promoted side, it's disingenuous, right? It's disingenuous because when you look at Sunderland and what they're doing, are they playing like a promoted side? Are they currently acting like one? No. But it's easy to say, well, I expected Sunderland to be in the bottom half this year, so Arsenal not getting a result there is terrible, right? Nah, in the grand scheme of how the season's going, the reality of the situation, you should always update your views as the season's going on. And Sunderland, matter of fact, they competed with Arsenal physically, especially, in my opinion. Not many teams this season have competed with Arsenal physically. We've seen from the set pieces, we've seen from Gabriel dominating people, Saliba dominating, Declan Rice trampling over people whenever he wants. In fact, he did it to Enzo Lefebvre. The one moment they tried to get a little bit saucy, bam, instant goal. You know what I mean? So what they did is they played to their strengths, as Jordan said. But the physicality of that team, look at some of the names in that team: Mosquera, Siddiqui, Granit Xhaka, Dan Ballard. Like these are real men, bro. They're ready to battle with you. You know what I mean? So I was disappointed actually with Sunderland at a point, because when they went 1-0 up, I said, oh, hold on. All right, you're playing an Arsenal team that have got injuries. Maybe some legs might be getting tired just before the international break. You're showing them physically you can compete. Arsenal played midweek in the Champions League. And then all of a sudden they got their goal and then just dropped back. And then it just became, Arsenal are going to go and win this game. I knew Arsenal were going to score 2 goals. It was impossible that you weren't going to score 2. The way you kept knocking on the door, the way you kept having the ball, it was, at a point, it felt like it was 90% possession at some point. You know, the ball just kept coming back. You guys kept building. And obviously, Trossard scores an amazing goal, but it was inevitable that you guys were going to score. Now, the disappointment, as Jordan said, is a 90th minute conceded goal, right? That is a massive disappointment. But I do think, I don't know, maybe we'll touch on it. As you guys said, we're going to get into the actual game. But Arteta made a defensive substitution with Mosquera coming on. And I felt like that wasn't, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me more, but I felt like that was a bit, people attribute Arteta being defensive, but I felt like that wasn't an Arteta move for me. Against Sunderland away from home after dominating, I know Sunderland were growing in the last 5 minutes, but I was surprised to see you bring on Mosquera, because that felt like, to me, Arteta's anticipating balls just flying in. But that suits Sunderland, bro. That suits Sunderland. I would have probably preferred to see someone that's maybe going to help get on the board, maybe help calm down the game. And maybe there might not have been too many options on the bench, but I would have preferred to see that as an Arsenal, if I was an Arsenal fan, than see Mosquera come on and anticipate what Sunderland are going to do. And in the end, they did exactly what they wanted to do. Yeah. Ballard gets a flick on and Robbie gets a goal. So yeah, I think it's disappointing, but it's not a detriment. It's not a catastrophe like some people are making out.
Turk, can I just jump in quickly there, Turk? Because on that last point that Cams makes, there's a clip going around of an interview from an interview that Fabregas did, I think maybe a couple of years ago. And you can always find a clip to kind of suit a narrative, right? But in this clip, he's talking about the psychology of when, as a manager, you bring on a defensive player to see out a lead. And he talks about how psychologically, when a team brings on a defensive player in that situation, psychologically, you just drop back. You just think we're going to just defend and hold out. And his argument in the clip, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that isn't always the thing to do. Sometimes you want to bring on a player that even when you're kind of under the cosh and the instinct is fifth defender, 3 minutes out, 3 minutes, see this out and get out of here. Even in that scenario, sometimes he's saying bringing on an attacker actually is, or a player that is small but can keep the ball in diminutive is the better option. Now, I'm not saying that was the right thing to do in this scenario, because I think there's a lot of people talking online I'm seeing this weekend about his substitution being wrong. I don't want to say that Arteta was wrong in doing what he did, because he's done that before and it's worked. So I don't want to kind of jump on a bandwagon of why didn't you bring on this? I just thought it was interesting. The clip was floating around just more general point. Just because you want to defend a lead, sometimes defending a lead doesn't necessarily mean bringing on another defender. And I think that clip, I guess, kind of plays well to the narrative that I'm seeing from other fans that are saying, you know, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why didn't you try and go for it? But then you can't win, right? Because if he brings on a striker or someone that's more attacking and we try and go for it and we concede, people then saying, oh, well, why didn't you, try and shore it up and see it out? It's only 3 minutes. So in a way, that's why I don't really like criticizing substitutions, because for every sub that you might get wrong, no one highlights the one that he gets right. And that's why I kind of do on this pod. I try and highlight the ones he gets right, because they often don't get highlighted. But I just thought that clip was speaking to the point that Cams was making there about the psychology that players see. When a player comes on as defensive, they just instinctively think, drop back 10 yards. And that's never good, especially against a team like Sunderland, who just want to drop in diags into your box.
He's done that before, though. And I think that's why ultimately I'm the same as Jordan, which I won't really kind of be too critical of it, because he did it at home to Palace, went to a back five. He tends to do it when we play against teams with wing backs, because that back four gets stretched. And I think essentially we were getting a little bit overrun by Sunderland at the end of that game. I know what you mean. It's also what attacking quality can you bring on, because I love Ethan, what a player, but like, is he going to help you kind of see that game out in that moment where it's physical, the game's getting a little bit nasty, like I say, in a good way, like credit to Sunderland. But I could see why he did it. I think, weirdly, I actually just thought he should have gone for Ben White more than Mosquera. I think it's actually more a personnel issue, because Ben White's come into these kind of cauldrons and these types of games before and seen it out. He can play centre-back. So I'm sort of more surprised about that more than anything. But quick scan at our results. Like, he did this against Fulham. Obviously, he did it for this game. No, he did it for Palace and he did it for this game. But he didn't do it for Fulham. He didn't do it for Man United. So it's not always his go-to. I think he just looks at whether the team are tiring and whether they just need an extra body at the back, and probably felt that we did. So I'm not too critical on that. I think my bigger criticism is actually just the way Gabriel, Raya and Declan Rice defended their boxes. I thought Declan Rice, I don't think he does great on Dan Ballard. By the way, I thought Rice was brilliant the rest of the game, but he's not great on the goal. And between Gabriel sort of going quite low with his head and Raya sort of coming to claim rather than actually just punch it out, I just thought we defended our box quite amateurishly this game. That's kind of my biggest criticism from the match.
Yeah, it cost us. I think with the substitution, it was a big moment in hindsight, because, that was the moment he had to. I think the tone was set before the substitution and he went with the tone rather than trying to change the tone. But then I look at the bench and I say, unless we're bringing a teenager on away at the Stadium of Light against a good side that's being very physical right now. And by teenager, I wouldn't even entertain Downman. I'd be looking at Nwaneri, because he was our only other option. I feel like injuries probably backed him into a corner with that decision in terms of setting a different tone.
Could Miles Lewis Skelly come on at any point? One substitution, like when your leg getting a bit tired, that's the only thing I was looking at. One sub right at the end, and in the end you concede. When everybody can kind of see that, Arsenal were tiring in the game a little bit, that was just only my thing, where I was like, the in-game management maybe could have been a little bit better at that particular moment. I don't know what you guys think about that.
No, you're right. Even Declan was blowing at the end.
Who was?
Sorry, James. No, I said Declan was blowing at the end. He was tired, and that's Rice, who's used to running those miles in a game.
Yeah, I thought Calafiori had a bit of a shocker, actually, and that's the sub he should have made even before we were kind of defending the penalty box and stuff like that. I would have got Lewis Skelly on, for Calafiori at a point in the game where we actually needed a goal. But I mean, ultimately we ended up getting that second, didn't we? If not in Capier. I just thought Calafiori was just always kind of on the wrong side of a foul and a duel and things like that, and he misses a big chance at the end, doesn't he? But Yeah, I think that's the only change I would have made otherwise. I sympathise with Arteta, and I really highlighted this going into the weekend on a video I did. I was like, look, we are asking the same players to go out again and again and again and do the job. And everyone goes, oh, what a great squad. I'm like, yeah, but we don't build a great squad to have 7 or 8 of them out so that the same 11 can kind of keep going. We do it so that we can pose different problems. And I'm not talking everyone fit. You'll never have everybody fit. But imagine bringing Kai on and Madueke, just 2 of them, just to kind of give you a little bit of physical presence going forward and a little bit of pace on the wing to give you something different. And it's just little things like that. And it's not excuses. I mean, it is, but it's context to why Mikel maybe just couldn't impact the game from the bench the way he would have wanted. Like, as much as we've got really talented youngsters, Waneri, Dalman, and Harriman and Anus are not ideal kind of game changers for that moment. Even when chasing a goal, that's the reality. Maybe in the last 10, 15 minutes, but it is what it is.
Looking more into the game, and I guess it's best to break it down half by half, because it was another game where I think it was a tale of two halves. A little first half starting there. Looking from our perspective, there was only a Rice free kick and a Saliba Skyer over the bar that really, me looking at it, thought maybe we should have got something there with Saliba, but it wasn't a great first half, Jordan.
No, it wasn't a great first half. I mean, I've seen games before, even this season, where we've taken a good 15, 20 minutes to kind of settle. And then once we settle, we kind of get into our groove. That didn't really happen in this half. I mean, Sunderland Stadium were like 5:30 kickoff. They're going to be buzzing. Arsenal, the league leaders, are coming to town. I think it was to be expected that they would start off the more livelier. But we never really kind of took control of that first half, which is disappointing, because that's what I think we're good at. We're normally good at that sort of thing. The Saliba chance. I mean, I first thought he's got to do better there, but maybe at the target at least. But I don't think it was as easy a chance as I think we might think it was. But then again, maybe I'm being kind. Yeah, I don't remember anything else but we really created in that first half.
That's what made that chance. That's what made that chance bigger for me, because you're right, a centre back there, you can excuse him, but because we're 1-0 down and because we're not creating anything, that moment it becomes bigger, because you're thinking, you need to get that on target, mate.
Yeah, maybe, but I think it was more. I think it was more of the issue was more we didn't create anything else in that first half, and that's disappointing. Even against a good team, you're going for a title, you can't go 45 minutes and create one chance. That's just not good enough. And while I don't think Sunderland were like overly threatening, I wasn't like scared they were going to go 2-3 up. Equally, I didn't see an equalizer coming in that first half either. So we stuck in it. The halftime team talk kind of G'd them up. We'll get to that in a second, I'm sure. But yeah, in terms of the first half, it felt like a little bit of a wasted half. It felt like we didn't really get into our groove, which was a little bit disappointing.
Cams, this is kind of the tale of Arsenal right now, in terms of we often look at the halves and say, one half's about gaining control and the second half's about finishing them off. And much has been said about the sustainability of it all. And when you look at the second half and the way we started that second half and the amount of chances we were creating and the problems we were creating for Sunderland, it did make me think, why didn't we go for it a bit more in the first half? Because, they're obviously somewhat there for the taking. But when you look at that first half for us, is it expected now that it's a bit of a slow start from us and it's about gaining control? Or do you think it's just the context of things, the injuries, the lineup, the tired legs, all of that put together?
I think in today's game, I think in the Sunderland game, I think that was the context of the game. Sunderland were right up for it, bro. You know what I mean? They were right up for it. Stadium light was bouncing. The whole, they were SAKA talk, all the game pre-talk was about SAKA. They're gonna go and do it, and they were gonna go and perform. I think sometimes we think as top teams, as Jordan said earlier, we have a right to just walk into anyone's stadium and do whatever we want. That's not how the game is always gonna go. And I know Arsenal, funny enough, in the 22-23 season, were coming out the blocks like boom off, and you're 1-0 up straight away. I know it's a bit slower now, but I do think this Arsenal team go to control games. They go to control. They go to silent stadiums. And in the second half, I know it was a slow start in the first one, but you've got to give Sunderland the credit for that, in my opinion. They did make it tough for Arsenal to get their game off in any way, and that happens. It's a game of two halves, not to be cliche, but it is a game of two halves. And sometimes a team, even if it's a lower team, they are going to come out of the blocks and surprise you. You know, Arsenal when was the last time Arsenal went to the Stadium of Light? You know what I mean? It's been years. Arsenal, they were up for it, and they showed Arsenal, listen, we're having a good season and we're here to stay. But the second half was more of Arsenal. It was more of Arsenal. It was taking control of the game. And the thing about Arsenal's control, and a lot of people throw the banter about set piece and blah, blah, blah. But I'm actually one that says on all my platforms, if you're dominating every facet of the game, it's not like you're struggling. You're dominating defensively, you're dominating offensively, you're dominating the midfield. The goal is going to come one way or another if you are facing the lowest block in the Premier League every single week. And when I say every single week, I mean it, because even Man City came and played the lowest block in the Premier League. So if you're going to do that, the nature of the way Arsenal games are going to look is going to be a lot different to the way everyone else's games are going to look. Did you see Chelsea v Wolves? You see Garnacho running through 50 miles of space. You think, I ain't seen an Arsenal player that get that much space since 2021 or something. You know what I mean? Like, if you're being serious. So when I look at it, I just think to myself, it was more of what Arsenal are going to do. And I was a bit disappointed with Sunderland. But my thing is, bro, my one thing is, like, with Arsenal at the moment, is what Trossard popped up with. I think Arsenal need more of that.
Yeah.
I don't think Arsenal do more of that, bro. Trossard, credit to him. What? Get the ball out of my feet. I'm putting it top corner. Doku against Liverpool. Get the ball out of my feet. I'm putting it where I want to put it. Arsenal don't have enough of that. They don't do enough of that. And I look at people like Eze, who I think came in, and that was meant to be the difference. Now, was there maybe a little bit of overexcitement with it because he pipped Tottenham, and maybe, right? But there's a lot of people saying, oh, Eze, last two seasons, he started slow and then ended it strong. Yeah, at Crystal Palace. The difference between you taking December, November, and October off for Arsenal is much different than you taking off for Crystal Palace. That's the difference between Man City and Erling Haaland going 5 points clear. And you know what I mean? It's completely different than a Palace who are going to be between 10th and 8th every single season. So I think someone like him, I was looking at the game and I was like, do you know what? Let me specifically look at him, because I'm looking at Man United perspective. I'm looking at Cunha the same way I'm looking at Eze. And I'm thinking, how are you trying to influence this game? And I'm seeing him trying to get behind the lines to get that pass. But I'm like, I wouldn't say he's hiding away from the ball, because I don't think he's that type of player, but he's not seeking the ball. He's not seeking it. Whereas I was looking at the game and Trossard was getting so much of the ball on the left-hand side. And I was thinking to myself, as an Arsenal fan, if you were an Arsenal fan, wouldn't you want at some point maybe Eze getting the ball on that left-hand side a little bit more? And because I would say he's the better player on the ball, but he was trying to like drift into this kind of pockets. And for me, I was like, maybe here is where an Odegaard is a little bit missed, who is going to seek the ball a little bit more. And maybe you could have Eze on the left-hand side, who has a little bit more freedom or relief of pressure to be that kind of main creator. Because I've never really seen Eze as that main creator. If anyone watches Crystal Palace, he was not really their main creator. He was their match winner in big moments, but he wasn't their main creator like that. And I'm seeing him kind of struggle with that in the 10 role at Arsenal at the moment. But what Trossard did is what Arsenal need to do more. And I will pose a question for you guys also as well that I want to get you guys' thoughts on. But I don't know if what you lot think about that with what I just said.
But you know, that's actually weirdly why I'm more encouraged coming out of this game, which is crazy because City have, gained 2 points on us. But you're right, Sunderland were on it. Sunderland have played a low block that second half. We face that every week. And I saw Arteta and Arsenal solve it. I saw a massive jump in the second half. In that Timber got higher, that freed up Saka a little bit. Suddenly Trossard was able to find space where he wasn't in the first half. So I kind of came out of it quite encouraged. And on that point on Eze, I think he's just being asked to do a job there. And I know that it's ridiculous. We're talking about £65 million signing, lots of excitement. We should expect a little bit more. But it will be Odegaard in that position. Like, it's always been Ødegaard, Saka, and White or Timber. That's always been the trio on the right. Eze's been asked to kind of float into areas, you're right, demanding the ball in space that isn't there. And at Palace, that was never his game. I think Eze's future is what Trossard did all that half, which is kind of weirdly, he was the creative one from the left. He was picking out players in the penalty area. He's the one getting shots off goal. And I think it's going to be Eze and Trossard trading blows to that left wing. Actually, Martinez having quite a good season, but I just think he's going to be third behind those two. But that's when Ødegaard returns. So in the head, I'm kind of like, man, like we actually problem solved quite a lot against Sunderland with Eze not in his right position, without our captain, without 2 or 3 strikers. So I know I'm harping on about the players that are missing, but I'm genuinely saying it to say that I take encouragement out of it, because Arteta just had to tweak what he had and just use them slightly differently. Suddenly, it was a completely different second half. On Eze in particular, I just think you play football, don't you, Cam?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds so silly, but you being in the right half space can feel so different to being in the left half space. It sounds so silly. You don't want to make excuses for these players because they're pros and they're playing at the highest level. But when Eze is receiving the ball back to goal and he's taking a touch with his left foot to pass with his right, he's just looking at Saka or maybe an overlap. It's just those little things. When he's taking on his left foot, the pitch is on the left side. The pitch is opened up. Is there a first time pass in behind? Is there a little combo that then gets me into another more central space? Is there a shot at goal? And he's just getting used to these new angles and these new areas of the pitch while taking everything Arteta's told him about the press, about, you know, if Timber goes high up here, you got to be here. He's taking a lot of information. He's playing a lot of games. There's a reason he didn't start in Prague. There's a reason. Arteta's probably thinking that we also need to somewhat take him out of the team because there's been a lot happening. So I just think he'll benefit from being in Trossard's position. But Trossard isn't going to lose that shirt anytime soon. He's playing brilliantly, not just as someone coming off the bench having an impact. He's been probably our best player from international break to international break. And then he gets a goal like that. And you're right, we need more moments like that in the team. He's one of the few players that has it. So, yeah, go on, John.
James, why didn't you ask me if I play football and if I understand?
We already know you don't understand it.
I was answering his point. I was replying to our wonderful guest. But Jordan, please tell us.
It's fine. But I don't. Would you
like to tell us about you in the half space and when you receive?
Well, I was going to say I don't play football. I don't know what you're talking about. But the fact you didn't ask me is the thing that I'm pissed about. But anyway, this is why Cam is elite, right? Because on my notes I've got here, Eze needs to be more Trossard, and I gave him a slight pass on the last pod or second to last pod, where I spoke about the fact that there was rumblings amongst the fan base that Eze needs to do a little bit more, be involved a bit more, needs to drive a little bit more. And the pass I gave him was, we're not going to get the Palace Eze, the Palace Eze who the ball goes to first all the time. At Palace, they look for him first. Where's Eze? Get the ball to him. Go on.
We have a Nigerian representative in the
house.
Yeah. I would just like to clarify, because I thought to say he's pronounced his own name Eze. Yeah. Now people are saying Eze, but everyone said Eze. Mr. Culture. Can you tell us?
Bro, come true.
I say Eze, right? I say Eze, and most people I know say Eze, but then there's just been this random like surge of Eze, and I'm like, when did this come? I don't know where it came from, but I've said Eze. I know people that know him that say Eze, so I don't understand where Eze come from. But apparently he said that, and this is what happened with Mbeumo. Now he's in Mbeumo this season. He was in Mbeumo last year, bro. Where did this come from? I don't know. Players get on camera, switch it up, and make us go crazy. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to stick with Eze, I'll be honest. But I've heard him say apparently it's Eze, but I'm sorry, Eze, man. We're sticking with Eze, bro.
Did you see the Christian Norgard clip? Have you seen the Norgard clip?
No, I ain't seen it.
Like a year ago, no, so this season, I think he said, a year ago he goes, my name's Christian Norgard. Like, that's it. He just said Christian Norgard. A year on, playing for Arsenal, it didn't sound exactly, it sounded completely different. I've never seen a bigger change in name sound.
Is that Bruno? Bruno Fernandes came and said his name's Bruno Fernandes. He became a top player, then said, my name's Bruno Fernandes. I'm like, what? Wait, hold on a second, bro. Wait, hold on. You're Bruno Fernandes to us, bro.
I think they came here, trying to assimilate, right? And then they get heat from their family and people back home. They're like, why are you calling yourself Bruno Fernandes?
Yeah.
It is Fernandes. It is Fernandes.
Yeah.
That's how the Portuguese say it. All right.
Sorry.
No. I'm going to keep saying
I get it. If I pronounce the Italian name wrong, my mum kills me. Like, she's watching my videos being like, James, like, that's not how you say it. And yeah, you get caught up on it.
I'm gonna keep calling him Ezra just to kind of troll people because people don't like it when I say that. So I'm gonna keep doing that. But I hear you, Cams. Yeah, I think we're not gonna get that Ezra, which is give the ball to him. He'll drive with the ball 40-50 yards, beat two players, bang it top. Because we don't play that football. Palace have the luxury, if you like, of being able to have space in behind because most teams push up on them. We're the opposite. So the pass I gave him was we're not going to get that player, but the player that I don't get mad when Ezra doesn't dominate games. I don't get mad at that. What I get mad at is when we're not getting the Ezra which I thought we were getting, which was, as Cam says, a match winner. I don't mind if I don't see you for 30 minutes, but I need to know that at some point in this game, you're going to do something mad that no one else can do. And that might be your only contribution for the whole game. But that's you're the match winner, bro.
The X factor, bro.
Yeah, you're meant to be that guy that in those games, like Saturday, you do a ting. And I think there's a bigger issue, a discussion for another time about number 10s not doing well this year generally. I'm looking at Shirky, I'm looking at Cunha, I'm looking at Eza, I'm looking at Wirtz, I'm looking at a lot of 10s. This was a year I thought 10s might return, but it's not happening, but that's a separate thing. But the fact that Trossard is becoming that guy, and I want to big up Trossard because the consensus generally was that Rice was man of the match on the weekend. I thought it was Trossard. I thought Trossard, we'll get to the goal in a second. I thought Trossard was brilliant. He did on Saturday what I've been killing him for 18 months, which is wing play. Got the ball on the wing, beat his man cross, got his wing, moved it, tried a ting, might have lost it, but tried something. I thought Trossard was brilliant. Throughout the game, I thought he was our biggest threat offensively. I thought he was so good. And the goal reminded me of the goal that Arshavin scored at Old Trafford. Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Anfield, but you're right. It was Old Trafford.
The one at Old Toilet was maybe a little bit further out. But
chill.
Sorry,
we're being friendly today, bro. We're being friendly.
I'm surprised he came in on that because he slandered Shirky, and I know you're his biggest fan.
I just let it slide. I didn't want to digress. Do you know what I mean?
The minute he says Old Toilet, you're like, no, okay, no.
Too far. And he even let me slander Cunha, his own player, but yet he's back in
Cunha. I'm looking at Cunha in similar ways. In similar ways to the way Eze, I'm looking at Cunha, so I can't. I got to stick with that one.
My point is that what Trossard did, that goal is a sick goal. That goal is such a good goal. But that's what Eze should be doing. You know what? F it. Bang, goal. Whoa. Where'd that come from? That's the sort of thing I want from Eze. So I totally agree with everything that Cams was saying there. We need him to be the guy that doesn't dominate the game. I don't mind if you don't dominate games, but what I do mind is in those kinds of games away from home where it's a little bit techie, we've signed you to be that magic. When I need you to even the Man City assist, that's an example. Not many players. I mean, people think, oh, a lot of space behind, anyone can make that pass. I don't agree. I think that pass only a couple players can make. That's a match-winning, well, not match-winning, but that's a goal-scoring assist that only he can do. If you give me 2 or 3 of those a game, even a couple, I'm happy with you. So I do need a bit more from Eze, and I just find it interesting that Trossard is doing what I kind of need Eze to do. But I'm convinced second half of the season we'll see the best of Eze for sure.
I think when I look before I get into the Trossard goal, because what a goal with Eze, I think I expect more, but it comes down to the attack and still feeling like we haven't gone past gear 3. One reason, because Arteta had to change it up this season. Last season, our chance creation was poor. You saw our window and what it needed to entail from Newcastle onwards. But I just feel like he's already he came in. What Liverpool game was his first appearance off the bench, so that eliminates the first 3 games of the season. Across the 9 games he's had, he's won us the game against Palace, a tight game where it wasn't a Trossard goal, but it was a goal that I look at and think not many of our players could score that from the angle he hit it and also the City pass over to Martinelli, where you could say he's won us or been part of winning us 4 points in the first 9 games, whilst acclimatizing to a team that, like Cam said, it's not about a half season now. It's about, are you there throughout the season? What are you doing throughout the season? So with Eze, I feel like the injuries combined, Arteta's inability to work with players, that are currently not on the bench. Look at our bench all of a sudden. It's teenagers again. After the summer we had, it's major damage to attack. So I feel like all of those things combined, it hasn't been the best settling in process, but I've seen enough from him to know that he's already won us points and he's going to win us points. On Trossard, probably our best attacker of the season, all in.
Your new Freddie Ljungberg, yeah?
Yes, man.
It's Wiltord Ljungberg type of, he comes off the bench and he'll score. He starts and he might not impact the game for 90 minutes, but he can have that moment. And that moment, that goal, I have to big up Calafiori for it, because as Trossard standing him up, Trossard don't really have agility. So what Calafiori done is go around the side, and I think he took Siddiqui away, 1 step away, and that gave Trossard the step inside to bang that shot. But there's not many players that, in my opinion, have the ability to do that and also do it. I think I agree with you lot, Jordan, especially. Eze's that mold to me. I'm not looking at Eze to impact the game in 90 minutes unless we're playing free-flowing 4-0, 5-0 football, which against low blocks is very rare. But I expect him to be pulling out things like that. Trossard pulls them out off the bench, starting, all in. I'd say best attacker so far this season.
So, someone said to me over the weekend, if Trossard had pace, he'd be top 5 in the league. And it got me thinking.
He'll be a good player, man.
If Trossard had pace, it's true. If he was quick, because he's techie, he is techie, but he's just not got that. He's not got that. He's not going to get away from you. Hence why that goal is really good, because he knows I can't get past you for pace. But what I can do is I can put it top. Just give me half a yard, and I can put it in the top corner.
And from best attacker to someone that was getting looked at differently over the past couple of weeks, I think Saka's goal was a great goal as well.
I was just going to say there. Before you go on, Saka's goal is sick. But you know what? Sorry, just to interrupt you there. So you're going to another player. That goal is sick because, in my opinion, the pass and where he's finished it were both the wrong decisions. I thought the pass should have gone to who's on the left.
Probably Trossard. Was it?
Yeah, I'm thinking the pass should go to Trossard because he was open, and even the finish, I'm thinking put it across the goal. But to be fair, we have seen Saka be a bit of a specialist at that near post finish. That is a sick goal.
He usually rifles it to the top of the net. This one, he just buried it.
It's
like you could even see Rose is probably top 3 keepers this season. Rose takes 1 step that way, just opens that little gap, and Saka had just missed the chance. I think was it about 10 minutes before that or 5 minutes before that, where he should have done better on the left side. He dragged his shot wide.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
And it was like, come on. And then he gets that chance. Rice, credit, wins it. Marino, credit, patience and passing.
Yeah.
But the touch and the finish from Saka, first open play goal in a long time. He needed that. We needed that. So as much as Trossard's goal was the one that caught our eye, and we can't forget that's Saka's weaker foot. He's under pressure. He's not playing too well overall. And he got us back into the game. So I think the goals were great.
I actually thought Marino got the pass wrong. As in, like, I think he just kind of underhit it. I don't know. Like, Saka had to kind of drag it onto that foot. And then, do you know what I mean?
But you know what I like about Marino is he knows his limitations. When he got the ball there, I was as soon as he got it, I said, wait. And he waited. He didn't try and turn and bend it in. He didn't try and shimmy. He just said, who's running off me right now? And he just laid it off. So,
Wait, I got a question. I got a question for you guys in terms of with the Arsenal team, right? And this is my only, when I've been saying I think Arsenal are going to win the league, right? But my concern is for Arsenal, to be honest, is I know Arsenal score goals. They'll accumulate goals. I still look at the attack, I still look at Arsenal as an offensive team. And my concern isn't necessarily what everybody's saying in terms of 50% goals or set pieces. It's actually how many teams win a Premier League title without a player of the year form attacker. I haven't seen it in a long time. When you win a Premier League, one of your attackers have to be player of the year contender. Like, not, oh, he's eighth amongst the eighth person. He has no chance of winning it. I'm talking like Phil Foden did it. He was one of the best players in the league. Whatever they want to say about him, he was one of the best players in the league. Haaland, Salah's, KDB's, Salah again, Riyad Mahrez, all these players, Hazard's. I still feel like Arsenal are still lacking that. And I look at what Erling Haaland is doing right now. If the season was to end today, Haaland will win the Player of the Year. That is the difference for me sometimes. When I look at Arsenal, I think to myself, I feel like Arsenal are trying to win the Premier League with like strength in numbers. Do you know what I mean? Like like when you have your squad, Havertz, Jesus, it's like strength in numbers. We don't need a standout player because everybody's going to kind of chip in. But if you look at the course of the Premier League, there's always that player for the team that win it that is levels. Liverpool were not a great team last season. Let's have it right. They weren't. Arsenal didn't do good enough, but Mohamed Salah won them the Premier League title, bro. Mohamed Salah did it, right? And I look at Arsenal, I think to myself, Saka's not playing so well right now. We all know he came back from an injury, a tough injury, hamstring as well. But I think at some point, somebody needs to step up and be like, I am the guy. And what I just said about Trossard in terms of the goal that he scored, you need more of that from a Bukayo Saka when he's at his best. Because at the end of the season, you want to say Arsenal won the league, Bukayo Saka, player of the year or whoever, and boom, off we go. But right now we're saying, could Gabriel be the player of the year? That's their amazing defense, amazing midfield. I just think at that highest level, the only reason Man City have a chance is because they have a player of the year in Erling Haaland. And I just think Arsenal still kind of, that's my one concern for Arsenal. So don't see anyone really.
It's a good question, right? Very good question, valid question. If I was to flip it, is City having what's looking like currently the player of the season, regardless, in Erling Haaland, is that going to be enough to win them a title? So I want to talk about City in a minute, but just to kind of answer your question with a question, I think your question is fair, but equally, I've never seen a team win a title by having just the best striker in the league. And behind Erling Haaland, I'm saying who's the best player at City this season so far? Probably Doku. And as much as we've seen good games from Doku this year, for sure, I've seen a few Doku games where he's not been good. He's not been good every game. So who after Haaland is the top City player this season?
Yeah. But do you think sometimes a player that's on that type of form then ends up carrying people with him? Then everyone else all of a sudden starts raising their level a little bit closer to him. Because that's how I see Salah last year. I feel like Salah last year was doing things where, okay, he was overperforming, in my opinion, right? He was overperforming. And then everyone came along with him. All of a sudden, you're saying Gravenberch is the best midfielder in the league. Like, what? No, he's not. But all of a sudden, he looks it, right? Everybody looks great when you have that lead man leading you sometimes. Now, I'm not saying everybody can take a day off at Man City and Haaland is now going to score 80% of their goals. No, that's not sustainable at all. What they need is more of yesterday. He got his one goal, but the rest of they didn't really need him too much yesterday, apart from his goal that he scored, compared to the other games where they're feeding him consistently and they're trying to find a way of him scoring. They didn't do that against Liverpool. Everyone else kind of chipped in and got involved. But slowly now you're saying, oh, Nico Gonzalez. Oh, he's playing really well, actually. Oh, Nico O'Reilly. He's in the England team. Oh, he's playing really well, actually. Mateus Nunes looks like a right back now, don't he? This is what starts happening when you have someone just consistently winning you games. And I just think that's sometimes where I think Arsenal need to be perfect. You feel like they need to be a bit too close to perfect to win games. Whereas Nunes, decent crossing, Haaland, that's not a chance. Come on. Haaland's header yesterday is not a chance. If he missed it, we're just saying, oh, unlucky or whatever. But he turns a half chance into a goal. And I just think Arsenal don't have enough of that. That's the only thing.
So
I agree. I just think for the fourth time today, I just think they need to be fit. Yeah, but genuinely, I think they need to be fit because I think Erdegaard's looked, and I don't use the word lightly, I think he's looked like sensational when he's played. Like he's just not played. But like the 4 or 5 games he's played, I think he's looked really sharp. I was one of the few who was praising him.
Yeah, I agree.
At the start of the season when he was getting the shoulder injuries. I actually thought he still looked good in the 20-odd minutes we saw. Bukayo Saka is kind of getting up to speed, but obviously missed a month of football. Gyökeres, like we were starting to see the best of him. Like as a bit of a, we were starting to understand him. We were starting to see a bit of a battering around. He was getting his goals, even the poacher ones. He was starting to have an impact in the all-round game. Then he goes off. By the way, Cam, I completely agree with you. Like if this carries on the rest of the season, I actually start to really worry. I'm just holding faith that someone of that big crop of players will emerge as the person. Because even, it was never player of the year standards. But even when we went on that run of 16 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat in 2024, Kai Havertz was balling out up front. He was never, no one ever said player of the year, but the numbers were good. Like, he was having assists at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, having big moments, assists at Old Trafford, and putting numbers up. So I completely agree with you. Someone has to emerge on that front. I kind of, my faith's in Saka because last year when we were poor, he was putting up numbers, especially before the big hamstring injuries. Numbers were he was on course to have
10 assists.
What's that?
Yeah, 10 assists before the injury.
Am I going crazy, Turkish? Was he on course for a 30-goal assist season?
With 10 assists, he was on course to break Henry's record.
Yeah.
I remember that circulating. Him and Salah were come out the blocks early.
Yeah, so let's see. But I agree, someone has to. But Jordan's kind of rebuttals that's so interesting. Like, what is more likely to happen that the rest of the City team, because you're right, they might feed off Haaland's quality, but you don't just kind of just become a goal scorer. You don't just suddenly find numbers in you. Or will these other Arsenal players who are kind of maybe underperforming on the numbers front, like Eze we've talked about, like Saka, do they kind of rediscover more of what they're capable? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
That is the question. Is it easier to have Haaland drag up 3 or 4 other players, or to have a team of like Arsenal who have no standout player, just have one go clear? You only need one. You only need Saka to have a 2-month period where he does a madness, and boom, you've been 6 out of 6, and then you're 8 points clear again in February. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wonder, is it easier for Haaland to drag up 3 or 4 others, or for one of ours to just, do you know what I mean, go clear?
I don't know the answer. I genuinely don't know like what feels more likely, because Doku was unplayable yesterday. But does he get that space because Konate and Van Dijk are always like running back? Because Haaland's always making, you know what I mean? Like, are they not just feeding off his goals and his quality, but also just who he is as a player? Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
This is the options, because I think Liverpool tried to condense it centrally to stop City playing central, and then they just got hit on the wings. Whereas with our squad previous to this season, it was all Saka up top, and then this season we've got a bigger squad, more capable, but they're all out injured. That's why for me, the same thing that excites me worries me, because it excites me because our attack has been pretty average in open play this season. But we're top. We scored 20 goals. So there's a certain level that can be unlocked. That if it does get unlocked, I think we walk the Premier League title. But the worry is it doesn't get unlocked, because since 22-23 and the last 6 months of the 23-24 season, Arteta hasn't really managed to build the potent attack in open play since that Jesus Zinchenko year. So the same thing that excites me worries me. But let me pose a question to you, Cams. If not Saka, who is most likely, in your opinion, to step up for Arsenal in attack?
Oh, that's a good. I feel like you've got like everybody like kind of at a similar level. That's the thing. I look at it like Havertz, and then Gyökeres, and then Trossard, and then Martinelli. I feel like everybody's kind of around the same level. But I think on evidence, that as James said, on evidence, the only one we've seen is a Kai Havertz. Now, I think I have to put the expectation on Gyökeres. I have to. I have to, and I'm not. I have to. I'm not a big fan of Gyökeres. I'll be honest with you guys, but I have to put that type of expectation. Well, sorry, it's just because we spoke about Eze earlier, right? I would be looking at Eze, right? But if you're talking about proper from that front three, it's got to be a Victor Gyökeres. I mean, I think Martinelli is doing. Again, I'm somebody that's publicly quite critical of Martinelli, actually, and I've actually got to say, do you know what? Since you've been taken out of the firing line, out of the firing line, and you've been put in kind of off the bench role, I think he's been brilliant, actually. In fact, but now I don't know what Jordan's doing.
That is terrifying.
I don't know what he's doing. Who's his? Who's yours? Who's your answer?
The two players that he doubts, Gyökeres and Martinelli.
Let the man talk. Let Cams talk.
He doubts them as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think Gyökeres has to, bro. Like honestly, but
he does.
This is the thing. I feel like sometimes we say, "Oh, you must do this. You have to do this." But are we being unrealistic? Like, let's be honest. With our own eyes, are we really expecting Gyökeres just to turn into Haaland light? We're not really. So, do you know what I say? He has to be a lot more potent for me. Just a lot more potent in these moments. As I said, you got to turn half chances into big chances. You know, you can't. You look at Sesko the other day. We had a Van de Ven. He puts the ball through. Everyone's talking about Van de Ven, amazing. But I'm like, hold on a second. Did we see that first touch, which was going to other side of his body? No, turn that into a goal. We're not saying that with Haaland. We're not saying that with the Lewandowski. We're not saying these things, you know. So I have to say Gyökeres because last season the big talk was Arsenal need a 9. I keep saying to people, and I'm going to reiterate it. And I know Turkish, you're critical of Arteta in moments, but I keep saying. The guy is taking you guys all the way to the final third against the lowest block. Ingenuity needs to kick in, bro. I think he's doing a great coaching job. I really do. I actually think his coaching level is taking Arsenal to where they are. But then there needs to be ingenuity. There needs to be someone that has that bit of genius that's going to take Arsenal over the line. And you hope it's Saka. But if it's not, then
it should be.
That'd be for you guys to answer, man. Because I feel like everybody's at the similar. Hey, is it Jesus? Can he come and be that spark? Does he still have it in him?
Can I ask the question? I think the answer to the question is Odegaard. I think Odegaard's one. When he comes back, I think he's the one that if we can, because Eze is going to fight for his spot on the left with Martinelli and Trossard, right? Whereas we know Odegaard, if it's going to start. I think he's the one that could be the problem, the creator, the one that really can unlock certain doors. If we can get the Odegaard from 2 years ago, I think he's the one. That's my answer to your question, Turkish. But Cams is right. I mean, I have a lot of fun, you know, just winding people up about my views on Gyökeres. But in all seriousness, it should be him. And Cam talks about Haaland. I don't think we even need him to be in Haaland levels. I don't think we even need 25 goals from Gyökeres. Again, I'll repeat, we just need him to be, which is why it's interesting to see that he wasn't there on the weekend, as it was injured, because I wonder in that sort of game, could you find a winner in that game, or could you get the third in that sort of game where we're up against a good team and it's a little bit techie? I don't need him to get 25 goals. I need him to get the difference-making goals. That it might just be 4 or 5 more than we got last year. But those 4 or 5 more goals could turn losses into draws and draws into wins. So I'm not even looking for a Haaland part 2. I'm not putting that pressure on Gyökeres. I just need him to be the guy that's coming in, because you guys all told me this summer, I'll say it again. You guys kept saying 104 goals in 2 seasons. Get the guy that's got a track record of scoring goals. Goals. And I said to all of you guys, goals and the record is phenomenal, but that isn't the metric that I'm looking at first and foremost, whether we should sign him or not. I'm looking at the player. I don't think this player is the guy. Goals are great.
You did say Ollie Watkins, though.
I did, because Ollie Watkins has shown me in the Premier League.
He ain't shown nothing this year.
He's been poor, but then but no, it's Isak. What we saying?
No, but but all jokes aside, what you said about 10s can be applied to strikers. Yesterday, I said it. I said we're all arguing about Gyökeres, Pedro, Isak, Ekitike, Woltemade, Sesko.
No one's doing it.
Igor Thiago's got 8, and he's clear second top scorer in the league. So is
Yikes.
the striker as well as 10 strikers as well right now? It's like it's a bit it's very much hit and miss. Like
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I personally think that an Ekatike in this Arsenal team gets more goals than he's got at Liverpool. I think an Isak.
I agree, but then recent Ekatike against City, oh my god! If
He
he
was
pulled
dead.
that, if he pulled that performance out for us, we'd be
He
like,
was dead.
we
He was
bought you
dead.
for the games like this.
He was dead.
So,
He was.
Yeah, and the thing is, football is very circumstantial, isn't it? It's circumstantial with stuff like Ekatike and stuff. You know, like as you're saying, I actually understand what Jordan's saying in terms of Ekatike at an Arsenal, because I feel like what he offers, especially with how the way Arsenal play, I think you would rely on his technical qualities a lot more than maybe the way Liverpool play and rely on his technical qualities. So I still look at Ekatike as like an Arsenal player. Like he just feels like an Arsenal player, right? So I do kind of get it. But yeah, you got your careers, and I don't know. You're gonna have to find a way, I guess. But he didn't play, so I think it's not fair to talk about it a minute.
No, but
you know,
and I think we missed him.
That's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that sort of game where I think Gyökeres, I'd be looking for him to be the difference, and I actually think he would have been the difference. So I'm not having a shot at him. I'm saying that in that game on the weekend, I've got a strong feeling Gyökeres actually does something that preserves the lead or even extends it. So I'm not taking shots. I'm just making the point that the responsibility has to be on him. Has to be on him to be. And I'm not 25, 30 goals. That's dreamland. Cool. I just need him to be the guy, to Cam's original point, to be the guy that takes us over the line. I agree. Mikel's got us to a point, but at some point you need some individual players to do their jobs. Do your job, bro.
I asked that question because it leads on to what we talk about next. Before we go on to what we talk about next, have you liked the vid? Is it 1,000 likes? Could it be 2? Do what you need to do, people. Like, hype, subscribe, individual channels. You already know me, Jordan, and James, what we're all about. But obviously, the special guest today, Cams. Make sure you go over, subscribe, people. Yes, he's not an Arsenal fan, but trust me, the content is elite. So go show him some love and show what the Loose Cannon community can do. And listen, we ain't got a game to talk about. It's international break in terms of looking forward. But, you know, looking forward from that Sunderland game, all eyes were on City, Liverpool. And going into that game, I said, you know, comfortably, everyone would agree a draw would be ideal here. Even if we beat Sunderland, I think a draw would have been ideal. My second favoured result would have been a Liverpool win. And a lot of people did look at me and say, why? They're the stronger unit. But now I feel like what people are saying is the reasons why I looked at City in a certain shade moving into this game. They got the best manager, the best striker. If Rodri comes back and hits the ground running, the best midfielder. Doku might be the most informed winger at this moment in time. They've got a centre-back pairing that, you know, if they're kept together, and Gavardio or Diaz, that, you know, they're a unit. They got Donnarumma, who's won the Champions League and maybe the best shot stopper or presence sort of keeper in the league. So they've kind of gone under the radar so far, but they're very, very much on radar now with that 3-0 win. And listen, we don't hold the belts, but it did feel like that was a number one contender match, and it does feel like City are a number one contender for Liverpool's belts with us. It's a bit weird, but City, I mean, again, let me start with Cam's here just to get the unbiased perspective on it. Look, outside looking in, Man United fierce rivals with City and Liverpool, but we went through what we went through in the 90s and 2000s with United. How do you see it? Because you mentioned earlier on in the show, you know, the 2 times we came closest to a Premier League title, it was Man City that stopped us in our tracks one way or another. It looks like we're going for a third rodeo with them.
And listen, you know what Big Steve says about the Sharks? The Sharks coming, bro. Honestly, the game against Liverpool felt a little bit like that. It did feel like I was like, whoa, that was a performance, you know. Now, I'm very critical of Arne Slot. I actually don't know how the Premier League let that guy win a title. I think we're going to look back at that one day and be like, Arne Slot won a Premier League. Like, what? That was like a glitch in the Matrix, honestly, right? But I do think, you know, Man City are now kind of, they're starting to purr a little bit, you know. They're starting to purr, and they did lose against Villa. You can't forget that. So they're not perfect. They lost against Villa just the other day, but their performance against Dortmund, Swansea, it was a cup game, okay? Swansea. Who did they play just before Arsenal in the league? They played somebody else.
Bournemouth,
I'm sorry, not for Liverpool, Bournemouth, and now I think the performances are getting there. I think now more players are starting to get. I think Foden is starting to play better. I think Nico Gonzalez is starting to look like a really good centre midfielder in this league. And do you know what? I will be honest. I had Man City kind of struggling this season, but defensively, they're actually much better than I expected them to be. I looked at it, I was like, Nunes right back. Nori, okay, now I know what to expect from Man City. But to be fair to them, I actually think they've been better defensively than I thought they would be, right? And then, of course, when you've got Haaland in the form that he's not only, I said player of the year, he's in Ballon d'Or form, bro. Like, this is a Ballon d'Or like contender right now, right? So when you're competing against something like that, and the consistency levels of this guy isn't normal. It's not, his consistency isn't like when you're going for like a Eden Hazard and KDBs who, yeah, okay, they're going to win you a lot of games, but Haaland genuinely he has 99 Premier League goals in 108 games. What kind of, this is unseen. This is unheard of. This is all-time level, right? So when you're competing against that, I do think you have a major problem. I am not going to change my mind and now be a flip-flop straight away and see the first moment of, and say Arsenal are not going to win it. So I'm going to still stick with Arsenal. I think defensively, okay, you conceded 2 against Sunderland, but I still think Arsenal are just too hard to beat. I just still think you're too hard to beat. I think City are still more beatable than Arsenal. But, if they go and beat Newcastle away, who Newcastle are not good this season, sitting 14th, but they're bad away from home. At home, Newcastle are still respectable. If they beat Newcastle, I did say, if they beat Newcastle and Liverpool, I'm sorry, Arsenal fans, you're in a title race, bruh. You're in a serious title race.
Yeah, I look at that next one. It's like the reverse of ours. Up north, 5:30 on a Saturday, and then a big 6 fixture, 4:30 p.m. on a Sunday. We got North London Derby followed by Chelsea, in between Bayern Munich. So we've got a big week coming up. But there are eyes going towards City, James.
Yeah, are you ready for my hot take from this weekend? And you know what?
You know what's funny? I watched your reaction yesterday, and my title for my video was going to be City, we meet again. And then I changed my mind, and then I watched your video, and it was the first sentence, we meet again. And it was like, yeah,
I nearly went with that as well. I nearly titled it that as well. I agreed with what you said, which was if we're to do it, and let me tell you, I know everyone's talking about running away with it. I'll take winning the league by 1 point. I don't care. If we win that title, I'm happy. But you're right. There'll be something sweet about Arteta doing it over Pep, us doing it over City, after what's happened over the last 3-4 seasons. All right. My hot take, and let me caveat by saying Cam's is going to think, oh, here we go. Typical Arsenal fan. He's blaming injuries, and now he's coming out with all this. Let me land. I'm not usually like this.
Take time.
I weirdly came out of the weekend, dare I say, a little bit more confident of the title than I was before. Now, let me just say this about City. I never looked at them as low as other people did. I remember Gary Neville saying on his podcast, I think he said the words, I only see Arsenal and Liverpool capable of winning the title. But I'm thinking, this Pep Guardiola and City, they've won 4 of the last 5. They've still got Haaland. They're still Pep. Like I never understood that narrative. So I always had City as, maybe the 3rd best, but I had them up there. But I also I'm not as wowed by what they did against Liverpool as the rest of the footballing world seems to be.
Okay.
They were very, very, very good. There's no question they deserved it, especially that first half. But dare I say, that second half was still a little bit open. I know they were 2-0 up. Still a little bit open. I do think Liverpool were value for a goal or 2 in that game, actually. I think that Van Dijk one should have stood. And I just saw something about City. And also, I'm looking at the personnel, right? It's not Kyle Walker. It's not Kevin De Bruyne. It's not some of the ones that we've become accustomed to. I think they're a very, very good team. So having seen Arsenal struggle for 45 minutes and actually then put out a really good second half against a good Sunderland side, I kind of came out of it going, City are great, but I kind of knew that. Maybe I didn't think they were quite 3-0 good against Liverpool, but I kind of always thought they were a really, really good side. And I sort of saw a problem solving from Arsenal that I was quite encouraged by. So it's not that I know that the gap's been cut from 6 to 4. I know they're brilliant, but maybe I'm just not as surprised as other. I didn't predict them to win 3-0. I'm not trying to say that. I just think I saw us lose the title to the treble winners, and then I saw us lose it to a City side that won their 4th title in a row. I saw Rodri, I saw De Bruyne, I saw all these players, Kyle Walker, I saw Stones in his pomp, and I just don't feel that way about City. They're brilliant, utter respect to them. If we win this league, I promise it won't be by many points, but I actually feel weirdly encouraged. But I don't know, maybe I'm meant, and it takes a lot for me to come with chest on these shows about Arsenal, but I genuinely feel like my eyes are showing me that actually there's something there in terms of, Arsenal over
Newcastle
right
away big for you the next game week for City. Like
Oh.
if what Cam said, if City beat Newcastle, regardless of what we do, we should beat Tottenham. I think we will beat Tottenham. But if City beat Newcastle away, that's a big, tick next to a away game that we look at in the season. Would you think differently then, or do you think it's?
We are only ever reacting to what we see, right? And of course, you try to use the past few seasons to, predict what's going to happen. But like Cam said, predicting is kind of the worst thing about the game. If they go to Newcastle, I don't really care what form Newcastle are in. That is always a really difficult place to go. If they go there and win, we've got a North London derby against a Spurs side that I actually think will be quite stubborn and quite difficult to break down. That could be another weekend that flips in their favour, and then they've made a massive statement. Do you remember when Oscar Bob won it for them in the 90th minute at Newcastle a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
And you went, oh, here we go. That was the moment. Like, I almost see that impact that City win had on us then. That sense of, oh, they're coming. The cavalry, they're in. I didn't have that overwhelming a feeling post-Liverpool, but I think the footballing narrative was of that. Like, oh, they've arrived now. I don't have quite that feeling. And look, I'm probably being a bit pedantic with it. But, yeah, if they go and win at Newcastle and do that, then I'm sort of thinking, okay, all right, this is getting a little bit nervy because now it's Bournemouth, Liverpool and Newcastle, 3 wins in a row. But I still think there's weaknesses. And let me put it a different way. Do I think they're going to lose basically 2-3 more games this season? Yeah, I do. I actually think they will lose 2 or 3 more games. And that's on top of losing at Brighton and losing at home to Spurs. So, but Arsenal are capable of that too. Let me make no mistake. Arsenal are capable of that too.
No team has won it with, no team has won the league by losing more than 6 games? 6 games. Yeah.
Can I just say, so been looking forward to this part of the pod because I've heard a lot of people over the weekend. Again, caught a few pods. Last night I was at work during the City game, and I went to my mum's. Caught a couple of podcasts on the way back home, and I'm hearing a lot of Arsenal fans talking about City are coming, and to what Cam was saying earlier on, the whole shark talk. Let me tell you, now isn't the time to wilt. Now isn't the time for knocking knees. Arsenal got to stand firm. Again, as Cam said at the start of the pod, we've been here twice before. We've been ahead of City at this point in the season, and City have chased us down. This isn't the time to be scared now. This is the time to stand firm. The point at Sunderland, we've all agreed, is not an embarrassing point. Yeah, City beating Liverpool yesterday, wasn't great, and the gap is now only 4 points. And if there's one manager and one team that you don't want chasing you, it's probably Pep Guardiola, Manchester City. And I also didn't have Man City when I was doing my pre-season predictions in my top 3. So Guardiola, I see recently smiling a lot, looking quite calm, looking quite chilled. I think he's thinking, you guys, or Jordan and you guys, you all thought that I was gonna go 2 years without a title. You really thought that last thing was going to happen, 8 defeats and I think 10 at one point, and I wasn't going to come back with a madness. Keep chatting about Liverpool, keep chatting about Arsenal. Some were even chatting about Chelsea before City. All right, you know what? You lot forgot who I am. You lot forgot who I am. Let me just call. And I think his tone at the moment seems to be, his demeanor definitely seems to be, I'm just cooking. We lost to Spurs at home, yeah. We lost to Villa, but it's early. I've been here before. And so whilst I think he might look at people like me and in the background be kind of plotting, as Arsenal, we've got to stand firm. We've worked too hard not only over 5 years, but over 10 games this season, to be in this position to start letting this now affect us. We've got 2 big games coming up. And I do think, to James's point about injuries, we need some of those players back. I do think we need some of those players back during this international period ahead of these 2 games. But if we can get a couple of players back, we can beat Spurs and we can beat Chelsea. This Sunderland game at the end of the season, I think we'll look back and we'll see it as a good point. I really think we'll look back in 6 months' time and be like, that was a decent point. Sunderland aren't going down this season. So I just think as a fan base, we've got to stand firm. As a team, they've got to not wilt. Don't be scared by having City on your shoulder, because Guardiola's done this before. And my point 3 weeks ago regarding Liverpool, I had the theory correct, but the team wrong, was if I'm Liverpool, I'm saying it's Arsenal. It's Arsenal. They've not been here before. They've not done this. They've not dealt with the pressure. Get to Christmas with a gap no more than 7-8 points. Bring a couple players in, and we'll see if Arsenal are really about this come February.
That's why, sorry to cut you, but I think that's why for me it comes full circle to the importance of this game against Sunderland, because as much as we've done what we've done leading up to it, with City and Liverpool playing, it just feels like it was another one of those moments where it could be a turning of the corner, you know, which we've done in the past 3 weeks. Like I'm being greedy. We've won and our ops have been losing, and we've been winning every game week, you know, until now. But it just does feel like this was the one with
don't
City
think that.
Playing.
Don't think that. That's how I
think on the other side, though.
Huh?
Is there other side of the game, other side where your rivals are playing, so one of them isn't going to capitalize regardless. So maybe this is also the better week to drop. If you're going to drop points, maybe it's this week to drop points. So you can do on. I get both ways in it.
I would normally think like Turkish just said. I'll be thinking we've been here before, man. We've not capped on these weekends. That's how. But I'm trying to change my mindset to, okay, shit happens. We drop points. It's not ideal, but let's not get into the mindset of, let's get into the mindset of it's done. It's done. It's 4 points. We're going to go and get 6 points from the next 2 games, and we're going to reassert ourselves. City are looking for us to be worried. They're looking to smell blood. They're looking for us to be like, oh, no, stand firm. We're going to stand. We're going to beat Spurs and Chelsea and put the pressure back on City. And then, what you saying? Because Guardiola is thinking, Mikel, remember who made you. Remember who made you. Let's see if you're really about this, because I've done this. I've been here before. I've won leagues from behind. I've done this. Have you? And Mikel's response has got to be no, but I'm gonna. So we, as a fan base, as a club, we can't start thinking about the point that's been dropped in the 4-point gap, right? Look, in 3 weeks' time, we could be 4 points behind City, and we can chat about it then. But let's deal with that then. Right now, it's about Sunderland. Move on.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the next 2 games. Get some players back. Let's get back to it. Let's go on another run, another 15-game or 10-game run, going into Christmas and the New Year. That's my mindset now. Now isn't the time to start thinking about City are coming. No, we're top of the league. We've got a 4-point lead. Let's step up. Let's step up, man. We're a good team. We've done good work, and it's a weekend. It's not ideal, but as Cam says, let's look at it like Liverpool are done. I had Liverpool as our main rivals up until yesterday. Liverpool are done. Liverpool are done. So now, all right, straight shootout. Let's go.
How big was that Martinelli goal at the Emirates now?
Yeah.
That's a huge. I mean, we're a point ahead of them without that. I mean, I barely celebrated it because I was so pissed at the performance. But now I'm thinking, Gabby, what a finish.
And I'm also in agreement with James. I'm not having City. I'm not fully convinced on City. I'm not.
I never said that.
I'll say it.
Hold on. You started your monologue by saying,
I know.
Guardiola's there thinking, you don't forget about me, and you're ending it with, I'm not having City.
2 things can be true. 2 things can be true.
Those 2 can be true.
Let me tell you why. It's factual that Guardiola has the track record and the rep to believe that he can catch Arsenal. That's fact, right?
Yeah, that's yeah.
But it's also true to say, I'm looking at this City team, and I think there's at least 2 more defeats in it. At least 2 more defeats in this. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if between now and May, we lost 2 games max. I wouldn't be surprised.
what we have to, why I stopped short of that, and this is coming from a very confident Turkish this season, and I would stop short of Liverpool's. But if we had won, I'd say Liverpool knocked that. I said that on Thursday. 8 points. They still have to play us, albeit at the Emirates. They welcome City to Anfield. I think they're still in with a chance, considering they have a squad full of title winners and quality. And if things click, then they can put a run together. But I think when we talk about Arsenal, we've talked about quality. We've talked about elite management and Arteta's man management. We've spoken of who needs to step up and attack. All these things to the side, I think the most important thing for us right now is mental. I think the experience of 22, 23 and 23, 24, we need to use that. Our greatest era that I lived through came off the back of, 97, 98 was an amazing start for Wenger. But I feel like United's three-peat, including the treble, really set up the fire to win the double in 01-02, get Sol Campbell in, then go on to win the FA Cup 03, go invincibles in 04, win the FA Cup again in 05. We used that pain of seeing another team win the league 3 years in a row, one on the last day of the season, like with Andy Cole against Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, Tottenham were one. So similar circumstances there. That was the treble. We lost in the semi-final. Bergkamp missed penalty.
Yeah.
There were so many moments I look back on that as a fan, and it pains me even till now. But as a fan, knowing what came after that, in hindsight, it was beautiful for us, right? This is where we're at now. Once I get it, it was surprise 22, 23. We didn't, what's the elephant doing on top of the tree? That was what people were saying, right? 23, 24, it was a step up, toe to toe. One loss in the last 19 games. Unfortunate. Juggernaut, Man City. This time round, as much as I respect Pep, I predicted they finished second this season. I said Pep hasn't gone 2 years without a title. Like, all these things can't be disregarded. And they spent 500 M's across 2 windows. But we need to now do better mentally. We need to cope with this. As much as we're talking about this now over the weekend, they just need to move forward as if, just brush it off and on to the next one, because Man City have been proven to be sharks, and they're not the same Man City. But like I said, best manager, best striker, best midfielder on his day, best winger on his day right now. They've got so much quality. Shirky's coming through a little more. Marmoush hasn't really started this season, to the ability we know he can. So I feel like, yes, there's worry. Yes, there's sharks about, but there's also shark fin soup. I know it's banned across the world, and it's only rare parts of Asia you can get it. But trust me, if we win this league, I am going to wherever it's legal, and I'm going to have a nice bowl of it, because they have caused pain. They have caused pain. But finally, we need to get over this line now. So, yeah.
Do you think the fans have I don't really like blaming fans or like putting too much on fans, but do you think the fans have a big responsibility at this present moment going forward? Like what Jordan was saying, Emirates can't turn into an anxious stadium. It can't turn into go on, say this.
I want to ask you something off the back of that. A lot of our fan base was criticized in 22, 23, 23, 24 in terms of match going fans losing it, right? Getting too ahead of themselves. It's so chanting North London forever. What's that about? That's You'll Never Walk Alone. I actually like that, right? I actually think that's the way they should be. The outside looking in, is that how you look at it as well?
Listen, North London Forever it's a song. It's I don't know. It's one of them songs. It's a good song, but something about it annoys me a little bit, right? I'm going to be honest. However, that 22-23 season is the best atmosphere I've ever seen at Emirates, in my opinion, right? And I think the players are feeding off that. I really do. I think Emirates, there was the Ashburton Army thing going on. There was everything was going on at the same time, right? I thought Arsenal and the Emirates was bouncing. It always happens when your team now start getting expectation, your fan base start going into the stadium like, with their sandwiches, like, when are we going to score a goal? You know what I mean? It's not no more like the excitement's gone. Everyone's just expecting now, right? So then the stadium becomes a bit... Look, they say the journey in the stadium is better than when you win the trophy. When you win the trophy, everybody relaxes. Look at Anfield, bro. Anfield, a lot of the times, Anfield is known for their big nights, but a lot of the time, 3 p.m. at Anfield ain't lit, bro. They ain't singing because they're expecting to just win games. You guys know Emirates more than me. You've gone a million times more than me, right? But I think now, especially with this whole Sharks and City coming and stuff, get louder, sing more. Don't get anxious. If it's the 70th minute and Arsenal haven't scored a goal, misplaced pass, that is when the players are going to start folding. The fans have to, as Jordan was saying, the rallying cry, the fans have to maintain that level of making Emirates intimidating. Spurs are coming. Get them out of here. I think you're going to beat Spurs anyway, right? But get them out of here convincingly. You know, I think that is the main thing. I saw Declan Rice's post. I don't know if any of you lot saw Rice's Instagram story.
No.
And he put Instagram story and he put, let me get it up. Because when I looked at it, I was like, are you listening to online noise a little bit? He put perspective. He put perspective. An unbelievable month. Unlucky not to win yesterday, but that's football sometimes. More than ready to go after the break. But when I saw that word perspective, I was like, that is, you're only going to say perspective if you hear outside noise. Am I wrong? All right.
You're right,
yeah.
but that's surprising because I just think the outside noise has been good. I think. No?
You know, it depends where you listen, innit? It depends what corner you're in. That's the thing about online. You can flick on your phone. The first 2-3 things you see is, Arsenal again. Oh, City, the Sharks. Blah, 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 blah. So that is the one thing. I just think the outside noise and the noise inside the stadium, most importantly, Arsenal can't let it become groany and anxious because we know Arsenal, have we seen this season, first halves are not great, okay, but they weren't great when City were 8 points behind. Don't now because it's City 4 points behind. It's nerves. Nah, I think that's an important thing. The Emirates
like
and the Arsenal fans need to stay at top.
Act like we've been here before.
Exactly.
We haven't got over the line with this squad, but we have been here before. So
and in a way, the next 2 games are kind of a blessing and a curse. They're a blessing in that there are 2 biggest rivals, probably United aside. In that it's easy to be up. We'll be up for those 2 games, but actually the real test is going to come, as you mentioned, those 3 p.m. games against Fulham, where it's a bit techie. We need to kind of believe and reflect that even if you go 1-0 down, you go down. We can't be that fan base that continuously only sing when the times are good or when it's a big game. We can't let this, again, go back to Turkish's point. That is exactly how I normally think. Like, seen this before, or weekends where they spin, but we've got to no, forget that. We've got to look at it like, even City at their best, they would draw a game away against a good team. That can happen. But now for me, what's important is against Spurs and Chelsea, we show the team that, you know what, that's fine. Because if City smell blood, if City sense that we're scared, they're going to run all over us and they'll go clear. But if we say 6 points for 6 points, Chelsea, Spurs, 3-0, 3-0, City are like, oh, that Sunderland game was an anomaly. And actually not even a bad result. So we can't adopt the mentality of, we've got to adopt the mentality of, okay, move on.
I mean, this leads me on to my next question, but I think I'm glad Cam's mentioned the atmosphere 22, 23, 23, 24, because it was great to see, especially coming from the times it came from. But at the same time, you know, we're 5-6 years in there. So I feel like at times last season, the PTSD of not getting over the line, is it going to happen? Has trust in the process worked? I feel like, listen, that noise hasn't been here now this season because we've kind of done so well and we don't need to talk about that. But as our first guest, from an opposition perspective on the show, before we go comments of the day, Cams, linked to this feeling, does Arteta have to do it this season?
I think he does, man. I think he does. I think when you look at the landscape of the league, I think it's not the highest. I want to say it's the highest. Well, with Liverpool signing Isak and stuff, you would have expected it to have raised the level, right? But again, the reality is it's not been that. You know, the team that were the champions last year are not what they look like. They were not like the champions this year, right? They're out the way. This Man City team, as you guys are saying, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a legendary City side. This probably isn't even a top 10 Pep side that he's managed. Do you know what I mean? Like, it probably isn't. So I do think when you look at the landscape of Arsenal, you look at the signing of Eze, you look at Gyökeres, you look at Zubamendi, the all-time defense that they've got at the moment, I think this is the time they have to get over the line. But when I say he has to do it, doesn't mean that, if he doesn't do it, he's going to get sacked. I can't see a world. I don't know how you don't feel. I really do not see a world that Arteta's ever sacked at Arsenal until you start battling top 4. If you guys maintain title challenges every year, I don't see a world where the Cronkies say we're going to blow this up and bring in another manager. I just really don't. So it's not me saying that he's going to get sacked, but I do think it has to happen this year before people really start saying, oh, you're actually just not that guy. You know, you're actually not that guy. Like Liverpool, Salah, okay, he had an all-time season, blah, blah. Arsenal had injuries and legendary Man City treble, all that. This is the year where all them narratives are out the way. Salah, I don't know who that guy is, right? This season, you know, I'll talk to Grizz about that another time. But you look at them, and you look at the landscape of the league. You obviously not going to talk about Man United, not going to talk about Chelsea, Spurs. We don't need to talk about them teams. This is Arsenal's year. It has to be Arsenal's year. And if it's not, then it will be uncomfortable conversations. But I don't think it'll be uncomfortable conversations from the people who matter, which is the board.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show, people. We're going to move on to comments of the day. But listen, I've enjoyed the show as much as it's coming off the back of a weekend that hasn't gone our way. Pleasure speaking to Cams. And as always, Jordan and James, make sure you've liked the vid, hyped the vid, make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you show the guests some love as well. Let's do comments of the day, and make sure you leave your comments, people, because you know what it is. At the end of every show, we go through them, we have a look, we take one or two out, and we talk. Jordan, James, are you equipped?
Yes, sir.
Jordan, what have you got? You got 12. Huh?
Yeah. I was like, you go first. Go on, you kick off. I got a couple.
I mean, it is the most liked one, but I did like it. Even if you put Martinelli on as a guest, Jordan will say he's the best one yet. And it is true. Cam, I think he sincerely means all the nice things he said about you, but you need to know, like, he says the most about every guest who comes on.
Yeah, I don't feel special no more, man.
No, but hang on. No, whoa. Why can't two things be true again? Why can't it be that last week Dan was the best guest at that point, but at this point it's Cam's?
Because you announce it before the pod's done. Like, you announce it at the start.
Because I know it's going to be I just know. I trust Cam.
You give man the match before kickoff. That's what you do.
To be fair, me and Jordan have spoken the DMs. He said similar things. So
I'm the guy, man.
I've no doubt. And by the way, actually, all jokes aside, Cam, I think maybe because we do a lot of football content, I don't actually watch that much football content. When I'm done, I tend to want to watch other things. I always tune into you and Leo. It's like, congrats to you guys on what you're doing.
Appreciate that.
It's great work.
Thank you, man.
So I've no doubt Jordan's sincere, but trust me, this guy's he's full of it as well.
Enjoy it whilst it lasts, though, because I enjoy it too. But once Man United are back, I know him and Leas are going to be
loud.
The whole bias. Because do you remember when I was non-biased 2-3 years ago? Because when Arsenal was shit, what could I be? Now United, you got to take that angle. I'm telling you.
I'm coming soon. 2.0 is coming soon. Trust me.
When we're shit and you guys are good, my video, Man United are scary, will be out.
One game at a time.
Wait.
Cool. Let me get this one in because it's an unusual one. James says this podcast is amazing. Jordan may get so much stick, but this podcast wouldn't be the same without him. I don't always agree with his opinions, but I always respect it. Everyone needs a Jordan in their life. You may not want to hear what he has to say, but you know he's saying it because he cares and wants the best for you, like he does for Arsenal. Big up to all of you. Still the #1 podcast on YouTube.
Come on, my G.
Remember, I read that one out, Jordan. For
no, I do. No, love.
Forward, I'm going for slander ones next, but
I got a couple. They were all on my do-rag from last week, right? And I tried something, right? And the first one is Jordan with the do-rag. He looks like he'll be dropping a mixtape. Hang on.
This in Xhaka.
The Xhaka diss track finally incoming. He who shall be named. I like that one. And then I've got another one here. If a grown man, it's awkward because Cam's has got one on. If a grown ass man should not be wearing football kit, then said grown ass man definitely should not wear a do-rag.
Oh my God, I'm wearing both.
That's what Jordan said. Adults shouldn't wear football kits last year on the show, and everyone.
No, publicly. Like at home, cool. In the gym, even the gym. Like I've got a training top on. In the gym, fine. But if you're going to Tesco's wearing an Arsenal shirt, I'm looking at you sideways, B. I'm just saying.
Yeah, to be
If you're
fair,
going
I
to a
never-
rave, if you're going to a rave in a Man United shirt, I'm looking at
Nah,
you a little bit like, what are we doing here? Come on.
What we
And the
doing
last
here?
one, the last
Yeah.
comment, the last comment I've got is, can someone show Jordan how to put a do-rag on? Because I didn't know how to do it properly.
It was struggling. At one point, I thought it was all gonna just burst
I don't
out.
know. I need some lessons. I've got one serious one. Just it's not a comment, but I don't know if you guys saw the video over the weekend after the Sunderland game where AFTV's Ty got into some drama with some of the security. I didn't like it. Right? Everyone knows that Ty is a passionate Arsenal fan. Everyone knows that Ty has some quite outlandish, let's just use that word, views, opinions on Arsenal, and he's biased, right? I think even he'd admit he's biased, right? He's team Arsenal. He ain't hearing nothing against Arsenal. I don't like that, but I respect it. He's hardcore Arsenal. Travels up and down the country, watches the men's team, the women's team, the unders. Ty, there probably isn't a bigger Arsenal fan than Ty. So if you like him or not, whatever. Respect the guy as a football fan. I didn't like how he was manhandled by the security outside the building. What people might not know is Ty's a 50-something-year-old man. And I think that because he doesn't look it, people think that he's like this young guy in Arsenal kitten. Ty's a big man. Ty's a big man. So I would just implore rival fans to just bear that in mind when you interact with him, as annoying as you think he might be. And secondly, I didn't like, and I just saw a short video granted, no one seemed to defend him. No one seemed to step in and help him. And I'm like, what are we doing here? How does a security guy get to drag up a grown man like that and no one step in and help him? I never liked that. Whether you like Ty's views or not is one thing, but respect is a grown-ass man. He's a grown-ass man. He's a big man. So like, just bear that in mind when you're engaging with Ty, because I didn't like that. And I've said this for any other football fan of any other club. Like, what are we doing? How you let a man get dragged up like that and no one intervenes to help out? I never liked that. So I wanted to shout out Ty, but can we all do better?
Yeah,
That's it.
I'll be real. The steward should have got a slap, but people are more interested in taking their phones out. On top of what you said, on Ty being, Arsenal, he's the biggest Arsenal fan I've ever met and I will ever meet. But forget Arsenal for a sec. As a human, he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. So if you are someone that comes across Ty, just know, when it's football, a lot of us lose our heads. Him being, top of that list. But, life is bigger than football, and Ty is an amazing individual, heart of gold, always asks me about my son, my family, and that's just not usual in this day and age. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that. And, big up Ty, the number one Arsenal fan I know and will ever know. But yeah, look after him, people, if you're out and about. And, he is a target at times because he is so passionate about the club. So, yeah, big up Jordan for mentioning that. Before we do wrap it up as well, I want to let people know we are live tomorrow night from 9 p.m. Me, Jordan, and James on Troops TV. We're doing a Loose Cannon special. He's running a 12-hour Jamaica fundraiser for obviously the disaster that went over in Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa, I think it was called, but the ramifications of that, we're going to be supporting over on Troops TV. 9 p.m. is our slot. So if you're about, if you're free, if you're available, make sure you come. Even if you can't donate, share it. If you can't share it, then just be a part of the community, hype, do what you need to do for the video. He'll be running a 12-hour stream tomorrow on Troops TV. We'll be there from 9 p.m. And I see a lot. Actually, one of the most liked comments last week was bringing Troops onto the show. So you've got this show with Cam, Big Up Culture, and tomorrow you'll have an extra show, special show with Troops involved as well. So make sure you're there, people, tomorrow 9 p.m. That's UK time. But more importantly, right now, make sure you subscribe to Culture Cams. His channel link is in the description. So make sure you show him some love. And me and James said, him and Liaz, his content is top. We're not just gassing him. Jordan is, they talk privately as well. It's a
best
big
guess
pleasure.
so far. Best guess so far.
Yeah, I thought you might say
Appreciate it, man.
I thought you might say that.
Thank you, guys. I know I always do this on Big Six as well. Every episode I'm on, it's long as hell, man. I want to say 1 hour 45 minutes. My bad.
Longest Loose Cannons for sure. It might be the longest pod we've done.
Yeah.
Like, listen,
Yeah, it is.
It's worth it. It was worth it. Worth it.
I appreciate
people.
it. Thanks for your time, man. We do appreciate
Appreciate it, man.
100 and welcome to Jordan's scheduling of loose cannons. Nice and early Monday morning.
you man can go back to bed now. I gotta go work. You know what I mean?
Go back to bed with the lights. Man, I ain't got them darkened blinds and all that you rich man have. the lights coming through. All right, people. As always, subscribe, like, hype. The Big Six, Coolest Disabled, Gooniverse and Gooniverse News and Culture Camps. All the links are in the description. Let us know what you thought of the opposition perspective. Is it something you want to see again? We'll definitely be getting liaison again. Well, I say again, liaison soon to complete the opposition view. But let us know if there's any other ops that you want to see on board with Loose Cannons. Talk to us. Put them in the comments. And love for the love as always. We'll see you when we see you. It's international break tomorrow, 9 p.m. Troops TV. Maybe a surprise or two during internationals, but we'll be back when we're back nice and early before that North London derby next week, people. Make sure you're here because we will. Love for the love. We're out. Peace.